Hey, I'm gonna let you do the honors, homie. Yeah. I'm gonna let you do the honors. I already said it one time because we can hear them.
Oh yeah. Hey, we about to start.
Oh my God.
Christian was scared to say that.
I already said it one time. I don't want to get beat up the second time.
No, you sit right there. You sit right there.
Hey. Welcome back to another ALV podcast.
What up? What up? What up?
Follow us on Instagram at Podcast ALV.
And to check out all the latest YouTube videos, the link's in the bio. Click on it, check it out.
Yep. And go to ALVpodcast.com to get all the links, including YouTube. And here we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Not bad, right?
We got MCAT back in the house.
What up, what up, what up?
What's good, bro?
It's been a while.
It's been a minute, man.
Chilling doing this whole COVID plan. I'm going to call it a damn-demic. That's what I'm calling
Yo, that's perfect.
Hashtag damn-demic.
Damn-demic. I like that.
I like that a lot.
I like that.
All this shit just been happening.
Yeah, man. Shit's crazy.
A lot of people that we've had to come in, we've asked them, like, how has it been going through it? What experiences they have or what are their thoughts? Mm-hmm. So I'm really curious, how knowledgeable you are. Like, what do you think about, like, what's going on? Conspiracy-wise, whatever might be on your mind.
Let's see. Let's
like
start
where
with,
to start.
Yeah, it's been a long couple last months or a couple
since March. I would say
March.
Right?
Yeah.
Since March, like I don't know if I told your audience, but I do security and bodyguard work.
Oh yeah.
To pay the bills,
right?
Basically, that has not slowed down. Like I'm working like 6 days a week. I'm asking my manager, like, "Yo, can I get like another day off?" Like, damn.
I could see that though. So what kind of security? Just like private security or
private security? Yeah.
Okay.
Like sometimes right now I'm at a jewelry store, but had accounts we had to do executive protection.
Right.
We had to pick up clients. You don't know who they are, but they're worth like a few million.
Right.
Like a few $1 billion.
Damn.
Like one person we had to do an account for just for like a couple of days. It was Howard Schwartz. The guy who started Starbucks.
No
wow.
shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Real cool, down to earth guy.
Damn, that's crazy.
And my coworker, we had to do him. It's real laid back.
Right.
And we was just walking with him. People don't even know, but I'm like, yeah, he's worth more than a lot of your local celebrities.
Right, yeah.
And like crazy. This whole block that we're walking right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's dope, though.
But,
that's good.
Yeah, but business has not slowed down for me. Even my wife, she works in luxury retail part-time, and she does her online business. That hasn't slowed down either for her.
Really?
Nobody's like, it's just booming.
Right.
Now, we do have a friend who works in a hospital now for Retta, and she said, what was it about, I think 11 people died from COVID?
Quotations. I saw those quotations.
Right.
Yeah. So, it is real. People are dying from it.
Right.
But studies are coming out now. Even Times Magazine just released an article yesterday. People can Google, your audience can Google it, how it has something to do with blood clots in the body.
Like creating blood clots?
Some is affecting the immune system, like that. They call it auto antibiotics. Don't quote me on that. But it's basically clotting up. Blood clots are forming into people's lungs and just exploding.
Oh shit!
Damn.
Yeah.
And this is recently?
This is actually. What was it COVID hit bad? Was it France or Paris?
I think it was Italy.
Italy, yeah. Italy found this out. They started talking about how they started giving the patients aspirin and they were fine. It has something to do with the blood.
Right.
It's now starting. They also have other studies, so your audience can fact check me. That it affects certain blood types. Like say people who are O positive or negative are less likely to get COVID. I'm not gonna say you're immune to it.
Right.
But that's what their studies are finding. They're saying people with B type can't get infected, but people with AB
are more prone
to get infected.
Gotcha.
And most people with AB blood type are where it originated from.
Yeah.
Start with,
That was good. I like that.
Yeah,
He's like, "What color's your palm?"
it's where it originated from. Now, there are some black people with
Right.
AB blood type, so not the stereotype,
That's
but that's where
right.
it originated from.
No,
who,
yeah.
who is the original man and who is the colored man?
Right.
Yeah. One of my wife's girlfriends was saying a lot of the people back in her home country were dying from it like crazy. India.
Okay.
But you don't hear about it in the news. But
Yeah.
a lot of living conditions, people packing
True.
in, one
Right.
point something billion people.
Yeah, they got a fuck ton of people.
Yeah, so
Yeah, you didn't really hear that much about India on the news.
You don't hear much about any other country right now mainly because of the elections.
Yeah.
So you don't really hear shit about anything going on outside of the U.S.
That's for damn sure.
you don't.
So
What do you think about like where it started? You know, like do you have any like thoughts on like COVID itself? Like we know it's real, but you know, like do you think there's an agenda driven? You know, out of curiosity, things like that.
Let's see. One of my inside sources. Your audience will be like, what do you mean inside source? give us something to reference.
secret squirrels.
Yeah,
stuff.
secret squirrels.
Secret squirrel.
Right, Maverick? Just bark. It's not so much a virus, but it's a bacteria. So, but here's the scary part: it's intelligent. So it picks the people to infect.
Right.
It's not just some like you just spit on a bunch of people and everybody hits it. It's like no, you.
Is it based off like what's inside their body, things like that? So it kind of picks
Probably.
it.
Based on the blood type.
Interesting.
Yeah, based
That
on the
is
blood type.
interesting.
So it's almost pointing to a specific source of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you think about it. Like you know, like CNN has the ticker that we talked about before, right? And in the United States, you would say that it's like what 800,000 people that have been affected by it, but then a certain like 80,000 or something that died.
Something like that. Yeah.
Excuse me, but they never tell you the races.
No.
You know, they never tell you, oh, this is the demographic
Right.
of who has it. Which I was always curious about, like I mean, and not like in a racial type sense. Like I was always curious more about because that's a big deal. I'm like, all right, are Hispanics getting it more? You know, then you're going to start asking questions
Yeah.
like why? You know, why is
Right.
it that it's kind
It's
of like
very vague.
affecting that? you know?
Yeah.
Very vague.
Well, the studies already came out about how a lot of the numbers are skewed. Where somebody would go to the hospital for like a heart attack.
Yeah,
and be like,
because
oh,
I mean,
they would check off
it was
COVID.
a money game. I mean, you know, hospitals were getting paid thousands of dollars to fucking just you got a cold now, you got COVID. Like, you know what I mean? Here's a check for like 10 grand, like per person. So it was a money game. Obviously, the hospitals were benefiting off of having COVID patients. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's once you put money into the equation, it's there's
done.
there's corruption in there somewhere. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and you're right. And for any of your audience members who had people who died from COVID,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
sorry for your loss.
Yeah,
However, you're right about the money game because one of my friends, he posted an article where the hospitals where they get the ventilators for the COVID patients, they would get 40 grand per person.
Damn.
Sheesh.
And the ventilators don't even do shit.
They do. They basically kill you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that
They kill you if you have
kill
filthy lungs.
Yeah. Oh, fuck
And,
that.
and to speak on demographics, of course, you check in the media, they always pushing a lot of African Americans are dying from COVID. Yeah, that's true because the way we're living a certain way that we're not supposed to be living. And that's what's killing a lot of us.
Right.
It's basically like I'm trying to be like, say, I might say this, Batman, but I'm supposed to be like Superman. But I'm gonna be like Batman. Okay. Oh look, you're dropping like flies. You should have been like
Right.
Superman.
Yeah.
But that's why I pointed out India, based on the blood type AB. Not all Indians, but originated from where they started at. It's targeting specific blood types, and of course the media's not going to announce that because then
Right.
people start asking questions like, wait, hold on, what do you
Conspiracies.
mean blood types and what is this bull crap? But CNN said blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And speaking of, and what was it about 2 months ago? The CDC released a report. I screenshot it, and they were saying I think it was 85 or 90% of the people infected with COVID had pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyone who has like some sort of, like anemia or like something
kind of
crazy,
lung
it will
disease,
enhance it even
yeah.
more. They was talking about I know the big study now was vitamin D. That there was a lot of people who were vitamin like D3 deficient, and the study showed that a lot of people who had COVID, they didn't have a lot of vitamin D in their system. And that was one of the first thing they said to get are like vitamin D3 like pills and so on.
Yeah, my thing with all of this shit though, it's like the whole like mask situation too, how basically it turned to be from something of safety measure to a political issue type deal, like, oh, if you fucking wearing a mask, you're a Democrat.
Yep.
If you're not wearing a mask, you must be a fucking Republican. Like, what
It's
the
like the
fuck?
flag, like if you had the flag flying.
Like, bro, like that shit got ridiculous. Like, it got out of hand where it was like, you saw videos of people like flipping their shit because some people weren't wearing masks and like, causing fights and all this. I'm like, you guys would know that you're literally fighting over a fucking mask, right? Like, do you understand the concept? I'm like,
It's
people
programming.
are fucking retarded.
And we've been talking about programming for God knows how long, because it becomes, oh, look who came. He came back. And that's the thing that that people don't understand is when you kind of look at the root of everything, you always see that it's not saying that it's agenda driven, but the fact that it's a form of programming. Like I thought about it, how I can have a cold, right, which I just got over, right, but it's like, but everyone else, if you hear me coughing, like they'll flip out thinking that I got COVID.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I'm like, come on, like, how do you not know the difference between like a common cold that like obviously your kids are gonna bring home because they just had to go back to school?
No, because you have that fear mongering of
Yeah.
the media that everybody's on, that is gonna say, oh well, here are the symptoms of COVID: you coughing, sneezing, fucking runny nose, all this shit that associated with a cold
Colds.
or something like that. So it's like people are like, oh no, you're sneezing, you're coughing, you got COVID. Like, bro, come on.
And the masks don't do shit.
No, they don't.
No, they
They
don't.
don't. Like,
I don't.
at my job, of course, we got to wear masks. But me, I get to stand by the door, so I go outside and I take my mask off, get fresh air. But when I go on lunch break, they have us wear rubber gloves. I stopped wearing my rubber gloves because my hands, they need to breathe.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what I do, I'll take the glove and blow on it, and they look like, oh my God, is that safe? I was like, and I closed the break room door and I had to talk with him. I was like, technically, you're fine.
Yeah.
These masks don't do nothing.
No.
Yeah.
They're really
Like I
not.
always love those memes where it's like if you can fart and you could see it, like how is it gonna stop it going from these bootleg ass masks?
Right.
I would say more than 80% of people wear like masks they buy from like Target or whatever that's just cloth, and it's not even like your true like surgical mask that they tell you to wear. And that became a money grab too.
Oh God.
Everyone in their
yeah.
money. Yo, you can go to Under Armour. Under Armour sells a mask and it's $30.
Yeah, I mean, you look at any brand, they have masks now.
Nike has one coming
Nike,
out.
Under Armour, like Adidas, like anywhere you look, there's somebody making masks now. It's like a cash cow right now.
I think I saw
So it's
Gucci
like-
and Louis Vuitton masks.
Yeah, they got some too, and it's like.
Like spend $500 on this Louis Vuitton
Yeah, exactly,
cloth.
Right, so you
exactly.
can put-
They're still making their money, so
Yeah, put spit and boogers in it. Like, oh yeah, all right.
And then
COVID.
you can go to like customink.com and make your own mask with your
Exactly.
company's name on it and then like hand them out.
yeah. Anywhere, I mean, they have them everywhere. So
I don't know. It's a it's an interesting see a cough and like people are gonna freak out.
I was coughing all weekend.
Right? It's an interesting dilemma of what to experience. Like I would have conversations with like my wife and so that and like Junior and stuff and saying how it separates people. And you talk about we've talked about AI, we've talked about different things of like we said, like the form of programming. You have this gives an opportunity to separate people. Social distancing. So like but what I try to tell people, like listen, like there's articles that have come out that show that they have software where they use satellites to look down and they can track each individual person.
Absolutely.
So now they know where you are and where you go.
I mean, bro,
I'm like, come on. And well, and your phone's doing it all day.
phones are big as well.
yeah, like you don't need that shit when you got a phone in your pocket 24/7. Like,
Exactly. That is, and that actually happened in China, where people would like they have all those apps now. Like, hey, here's if you have COVID symptoms, like check it off. And then like Google has an app like that.
Oh yeah, even in the new iPhone with the new iOS 14, there's in the settings you can set it for like contact tracing almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I
It's in
seen
the
that.
settings
Yeah,
section.
yeah.
You gotta turn it
They
off
have
immediately.
You gotta turn mine off. I was like, I'm not doing this
Fuck
bullshit.
that shit. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see how much shit has changed in the last like 6-7 months, from like March till now, November, and it's like you just start like retracing everything that's happened, and you're like, holy shit! Like
a
all
lot.
this happened in like a span of 6 months. Like it's crazy. And now you got the election on top of it, which is a fucking shit show as well.
Pretty much.
And it's like, it's just too much, man. It's like I'm ready for the year to be over. Like,
It's not even. We're not
damn.
even in December yet.
Yeah, it's like,
We're
holy
slowly.
shit.
We're sloth
But
moving.
the thing that I see is like, you know, people are like focused right now. The election is a big topic right now, but like the election isn't going to solve COVID. You know what I mean? It's like, what's next? You know what I mean? It's like, what's going to be the, I guess the protocol going forward. You know, like, you know, you can't have stadiums fucking empty all the time. Like, you're gonna have to start letting people like come back in, like start doing regular shit, because, you know, a lot of businesses went down in the last couple of months. You know what I mean? They're not gonna be able to recover. They're not gonna be able to open back up. A lot of businesses, a lot of like, you know, just regular shit that, you know, everyday life thing that you used to do prior to COVID. It's kind of like, you know, it's either gone now or it's gonna be a struggle to get it back to where it is. So I think that's going to be the interesting thing to keep an eye on going forward. And like into next year is going to be like, okay, so what's going to happen? Like, what are the solutions to these issues that COVID caused? You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be an interesting topic to keep an eye on.
By 2022, I say that's going to be
I
like
don't know,
when
man.
you'll see more. You think about it. It's more like a perfect example of what you're saying. You can see from like when March happened till now, and you see it, the growth of it, right? But then you listen to a lot of the conspiracy theorist people, whether it's, you know, as crazy as Alex Jones is, or David Icke, or David Wilcock, like these different people who've been talking about this for years, right? And I agree with them. You know, when people talk about Bill Gates or the WHO, and you know, people look at you like you're crazy, but I'm like, no, like you just said, oh, you need to let people into stadiums, right?
Right.
You can't just let anyone in, right? But if you turn around and say, well, you want to go into the stadium, you need to get vaccinated, right? So it's a way of forcing it upon you without necessarily having to
but there's a lot of
force
stuff that goes back into something like that happening. I'm just saying, it's like, you know, there has to be a short-term solution to, you know, all these issues that have been happening in the last couple months. There has to be some kind of like short-term, like especially with businesses, like small businesses and stuff like that. You know, restaurants, small mom and pop shops and stuff like that, that, you know, are now going like online. You know what I mean? You have to open like an online thing or whatever. Like now there's a lot more like DoorDash,
Curbside
Uber Eats,
pickups.
curbside pickup, stuff like that. But it's like, you know, you're still creating that split, that division of like, you know, you going into a store and getting your own shit. Like, to me, that's the biggest thing that I miss. Like, just going into a store and fucking, you know, looking around, buying shit. Because you get online and it's like, you're just like scrolling, fucking clicking here and there. And I'm like, that shit gets boring.
Oh, God.
But
like the malls are empty.
Yeah.
We've been to the mall a couple of times, and it's wild how many stores are either closed and just how empty it is.
Right.
Just period.
Because a lot of those stores in the mall have just gone online completely.
So what do you think the short term answer would be? Either one of you.
Shit.
Exactly.
Well, let's see. With this COVID thing, it's destabilized the economy, as we all know. And the small businesses in this country employ like a huge amount of people. So you shut all the small businesses down, you cancel out probably over almost 70% of the jobs.
Right.
That may not be accurate, but it's close to it.
Right.
So you got all these big corporations, Target, Walmart, Amazon. They can't employ everybody.
Yeah.
You need these mom and pop businesses to employ people. And to touch on what you said about David Wilcox with in the source code, I don't know if I said that before. You can read the book. He did a study with a scientist to where they found out that people are starting to heal themselves with a placebo effect. And the pharmaceutical companies admitted that it's not that the drugs are getting weaker, they're getting stronger. It's just that people are healing themselves. Exercise, clean food, meditation, working with crystals, spending more time outside of nature. That's taking a toll on pharmaceutical companies. So now with COVID coming in, they say, oh God, they cross their finger, please do a vaccine, please do a vaccine. They make a killing off of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
And it will cost a shit ton
oh God.
just to get it too.
Yeah, and it's the H1N1 bird flu all over again.
Right.
I came across an article, I think it was this morning or last night, to where they killed about, I think it was over 10 million minks overseas.
Oh,
Damn.
shit.
Said they had COVID. I was like, minks?
What?
You're just trying to make some jackets. You're trying to make some coats. Son.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring minks back.
I mean, they did that with the bird flu. I think, I forgot, I don't know, it was in Germany or someplace, or Scotland, where a couple of chickens were sick. And said, oh, bird flu. The chickens were cooped up like this. They were pecking each other. They're walking each other's feces and shit. And their bones are getting brittle. They're getting burned by the heat lamps in there. So instead of them just spacing chickens out, let them run outside in the wild, they slaughtered, I think it was over 20 million chickens.
Holy shit.
Now, the result is you killed all the farmers' business.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of those farmers could not recover from that, and a lot of them committed suicide.
Yeah.
The farmers do?
And that was,
Farmers killed
another
themselves.
thing. Yeah.
Wow.
They had to, I mean, you've been a farmer your whole life. You can't just like,
What else am I going to do?
I'm
Right.
fucked. So,
That's another thing that I also think that, kind of spiked up with everything with suicide rates.
oh God,
Or
yeah.
You know what I
depression,
mean? Yeah,
things like
like
that.
you got your business is closing, like you lose your job or whatever, and it's like $300 a week ain't gonna cut it for fucking unemployment. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. It was just like a wave of just shit that hit all at once. And it's crazy. It's like you see it all that just in a matter of months, like the amount of shit that was caused by all of this. It's just insane.
Well, it separates society, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Big time.
You think about it.
Big time.
Because if you have everyone who's, what was the word they used? If you're essential or non-essential.
Yeah.
Right? So if you had people who work at like restaurants and with that, that's why unemployment rate skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Right.
So it reminds me, as cheesy as it sounds, like a lot of these like sci-fi movies you see, right? Where we're like the poor are always at the bottom and scrounging for whatever, while the wealthy, there's no middle class in there, or while the wealthy is like living it up, like higher up, nowhere near everyone else, and you kind of see like that weird
That
like
division.
separation happening,
It's
in different ways.
What's it called? Socialism.
Yeah.
We're starting to see the pre-stages, if you would call it that, of socialism.
Right.
Which is what Trump is against. And I had to do my own research to find this out. Read several books. I stayed in the books versus Google, and I was like, oh my God, this is
all day.
socialism.
Yeah.
And what was it? The Creature from Jekyll Island. A really good book. He talks about how the Federal Reserve was created, and it's basically like they're fighting against socialism. Yeah. That's what.
That the Federal Reserve is fighting against socialism?
No, it's basically social. They talk about socialism in that book. That helped me get a good understanding of it. And if you want to separate the parties, like the Democrats, now they're on the side of socialism versus some Republicans. Republicans are more so for, let's help you to start a business. Let's help you earn your money. Let's talk about capitalism. Let's let's do for self.
Right.
The Democrats like, hey, let's give you this welfare check, let's give you all these benefits, let's break up the families. You don't need that man in the house, particularly black men.
Right.
And let's get you dependent on us. Let's give you some stimulus checks
Dependent on
every
the
month.
government.
Right.
Versus do for self. And I saw what socialism looked like when I went to Cuba with my wife 3 years ago. People standing in line for groceries.
Waiting
I think
for
it
the
was
food,
like 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh my God.
That's crazy.
I was like, and then I tied information back to what I read now. I was like, that's socialism.
Right.
That's how you control people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people don't have don't understand that concept. You know what I mean? And I feel like, a lot of the population is ignorant to that fact. They don't know what socialism is, or they can't even, their mind can't even like understand the concept of what that would be like. So they don't really pay any mind to it, until shit starts hitting the fan and they're like, well,
And
what
it's
the
too
hell's
late.
going on? Yeah, and it's already too late.
Well, you think about how society is, right? Everyone, we are always raised, you go to school, you get a job, and you have to find a job where you can, fend for your family, do this, do that, right? 90% of your mind is focused on that, where you don't have time to think about socialism or like what's really happening. So they do such a great job kind of pitting you into a perfect circle, you slide right into the slot, right? Where you don't think about everything else. And it's only those certain few like us, obviously, that, think outside that box and be like, well, why is this happening? Or we question what's going on. And then all of a sudden they consider you like a conspiracy theorist person or a rebel or an activist or, some terrorist. Type,
Right.
I'm like, what? Because I'm smart. And I'm actually doing my due diligence to learn.
Yeah.
As opposed to letting the government dictate what you supposed to do.
Right. Like they'll give us stimulus checks. Like I was listening to one podcast of, I think it was Silver Doctors. Or was it Money Metals?
ALV's better though.
ALV's much better. But I forgot this lady's name, but she alluded that the government, I don't know if they're still doing it now, but it's like 3 months ago, how they was working on a stimulus package where people get anywhere from $1,200 a month to $3,500 a month,
like consistently.
That's what Canada did. Canada did like $1,500 every 2 weeks.
But see, the problem I have with that is I'm all for helping the people that are struggling and that are like can't make ends meet right now and everything, that don't have employment. And it's like, but at the same time, if you do something that's gonna be consistent, people are gonna get lazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are gonna. But I don't know if that's the end result, but
that's the point.
People are going to get lazy. People aren't going to give a shit as long as they're getting their money on a monthly basis. And they're not going to give a fuck. So I see that as a bad thing, like a really bad thing to do that on a consistent basis. Like maybe for a couple months, cool, until, you can get your feet up your feet up under you and, get going. But as like a long-term thing, that's not a good idea.
No, and I agree with you on that, because people that are accustomed to getting aid from the government, they're like, well, shit, I'll just keep my feet up and do nothing.
Yep.
And
I'll just wait for my check.
Right, and it's not people not going to be inspired to do anything else with their
lives.
Sit home, digging their belly buttons.
Yep.
Finding some lint.
Eat some fruit
and but then that's where all these other companies come in and like, okay, well now you have to buy all our products. Now you have to do this, you have to do that, and they're filling their pockets up. And it's like an ongoing thing. Yeah, it's a cycle. So
you have to learn how to step.
It's like, we'll keep you here, we'll keep giving you money and everything, but you're gonna buy our shit. You know what I mean? To make us more money.
There was a documentary about Walmart that came out. I forget what it's called, but it was a really popular documentary, and it talked about how scary Walmart is, right? So Walmart, in general, I mean, short version, obviously, I won't make it an hour long, but
please,
they're so smart that inside of Walmart they will usually put a bank, right? In some Walmarts, right?
Yeah.
So an employee, think about how crazy it is. An employee will get a check, right? They will cash the check, and the bank that's made by Walmart, right? And then they will spend the majority of their money inside the Walmart.
So their money's revolving inside.
So like they're basically paying you just to reinvest in Walmart, right?
That's
because
crazy.
they don't make a lot.
Right.
So the whole documentary was showing how Walmart would come, like you'll have these really beautiful towns that maybe have like 1,000 people, right? And they'll have like a strip of like all these mom and pop shop hardware, you know, really beautiful things, right? And they're all working amongst each other fine. And then a Walmart will come in and they will decide to build a Walmart towards the end, but they will actually get with the mayors and like the governors, so they'll make roads that's really illegal as shit, right? And have the roads go towards the Walmart. So now, because they sell everything, everyone's going to start working there.
To Walmart.
Exactly. No, it's true. And then all the people that work there or that are in the town will start working there, and people will start shopping there, and all these mom and pops just die.
True.
And then what happens is that now everyone is like dependent on Walmart. And then what does Walmart do? Like, all right, they already kind of did everything. They leave, and now once they leave, the whole town is done. Like the whole town can't come back. So now everyone has to move to other towns.
Because they're codependent on Walmart.
They were talking about that with Mexico. So there's a Walmart in Mexico City that's one of the largest ones, and there's a shit ton of people that work there. And they even said that if that Walmart decided to leave, it would collapse Mexico City.
God.
That's crazy.
Things like that. An interesting segue. Like you were talking about. When we were talking about COVID and stuff, you were talking about crystals.
Yeah.
I know how you're really big into crystals and like with your job, and we want to talk about it. I would love to know how do things like crystals and like meditation stuff like that help, people like prevent from getting COVID, things like that. If you want to kind of touch on that.
Let's see. Now, for disclaimer, I am not a doctor.
Yes.
Do your own research. Take care of your health. Because I've been dealing with crystals for over a decade, as you can see. I'm wearing a shirt that this is actually one of my crystals here, obsidian.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
What?
He protected the shit out of himself today.
I'm actually doing a certified class online too to be a crystal healer.
Okay.
Nice.
She does. The lady, it's called Hibiscus Moon. She gets into like the science of it about crystals. Like with crystals, if I can say it right, they don't experience, I think it's atrophy, if I'm saying it right. It starts with an E, whereas
Entropy?
We experience entropy, crystals don't, because of their molecular structure. They have almost like a perfect structure. Whereas we have a few hiccups in our DNA, we still have more perfections to go through because of the cycle we're in. We're now getting back to that. But crystals, it's like you can't corrupt the crystal. Like, it's basically say, let's take this quartz crystal, let's take this human male, and you put let's put a strip club here with all types of drugs and just debauchery right there. The human male is going to go there like, woo! The quartz is like, no. First, I'm not going to do no drugs. That's going to mess up my system. Second of all, I don't know where she's been at.
Right.
Second of all, she's not going to sleep. What she wants is your money. You most likely get shot or stabbed. No, I'm staying right here. I'm good.
Right.
But the male's like, woohoo!
Right.
Is it entropy? Entropy. So once I learned that, I was like, oh wow, I never thought about that. So with this COVID time, crystal sales have spiked.
I agree with you. Yep.
So much so, I think it's in the East, in the Asian countries now, versus diamonds being the big deal. Now it's quartz. They're taking raw quartz and making them into expensive jewelry now.
Really?
Yeah. The sales are going up because now they realize, because people, you sit at home for 6 months, people's like, shit, I don't want to die. What can I do? Let me do some research.
Right.
Crystals, like how I started, that's bullshit.
Right.
And then when people experience it, like they start reading like, oh, I can actually protect myself.
Right.
And naturally, you're going to need a diet. You're going to have to study your body, exercise, eat clean food, on your blood type, all that stuff. And crystals just help with
Enhance
that.
Right.
Because they themselves is another life form, so to speak, more advanced life form than us, so to speak. So people now getting into that. So now crystal sales have spiked. And my fear is, let's say you go to local crystal shops or go online, pay anywhere from like $2 to like a few $100s for a crystal. Say someone like, say, a Tiffany's or Cartier get a hold of like some carnelian or something. Like this is carnelian. And so you're going to Tiffany's or someplace. Oh, okay. Oh, how much that carnelian? You thinking like, oh, maybe 10, 15, 20 bucks. $3,000.
Right.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Because we have our
the
logo with all
exact
this
same
stuff.
Because it's Tiffany stamped.
Tiffany stamp.
All day.
Yeah. Also,
I call people idiots when they get Tiffany diamond rings, man.
right. And now your audience, and you can Google this too. Certain geologists are starting to find that the Earth now is producing precious gemstones, growing 3 feet within, I think it's 15 to 20, either 15 hours or 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
So imagine an emerald grows in 72 hours out of the earth. Like,
That's crazy.
yeah, that's happening now.
Do you know where that season happened?
Don't know where.
Like Brazil or something? I know Brazil has a lot of quartz.
That's insane.
Brazil has quartz. Arkansas has got a lot of quartz. North Carolina has rubies and emeralds. Arizona, my wife and I took a trip out there.
Arizona.
That place is mystical.
I heard.
Yeah, Sedona, that is a magical place.
Like when you look up and you see every star.
Every star, the animals walk up to you. Like, the energy of that place is amazing. Like, it's, in my class, it's basically like sand rock on top of quartz. Like, pretty much Sedona and other areas, it's a big quartz. And my wife, she got a reading there from a psychic. And the lady was telling her that, she asked her, do you sleep at night? She said, yeah. She's okay, that's good. She said, most people are not accustomed to this type of energy. It kind of throws them off balance. So say if you have a wild lifestyle, it's not going to work out
Junior.
there. Junior do fine. But
He's got a kid coming. He's not wilding.
oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Dope.
Thanks.
So she was saying some people, they come there.
Bruh.
And right.
Yeah.
And
Mind your business.
and she specifically talked about people from Cali. A lot of people from Cali come there. They just, not all, but she said some people, they go, and they're literally like,
Right.
like that, because the energy there just,
It's too much.
It's too much. It shook them up. Like, we just felt relaxed. Like, we saw things there that just wasn't, like, a friend of mine who made this, Stargate Jewelers, shops located off of Howell Mill Road. Him and his wife met us out there,
Okay.
and we went to the Grand Canyon. Amazing.
Oh, I bet that was dope.
Amazing. We noticed that the birds were following us.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that place is, Sedona is like mystical.
Sedona.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
My brother used to live out in Tucson,
Oh man.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says he loves Arizona.
Yeah, it's just something about that, because I was a little skeptical about a desert. But they have dry heat compared to what we have.
Right. Yeah.
Like-
We got that damn
Swamp
humidity.
heat.
Swamp
Yeah, that
heat.
shit.
You gotta take
sucks.
3 showers and that shit.
For real.
Not bad as New Orleans, as Louisiana, but it's bad enough.
They have no beaches, New Orleans, though. Like,
They
they got
don't?
like nothing.
Really?
It's all like swamp.
God.
That sucks.
Yeah, I looked it up because I was curious.
Yeah, but with Sedona, or just Arizona in general, it can be 110 degrees, and they always advertise in the news, and we're thinking like, oh man, that's like hell.
Yeah.
But you get outside, as long as you're
The
in a
breeze.
it's like dry heat. It's like 85 degrees. I was like, oh my god, this is great.
Right.
The sun doesn't burn you like it does. I don't mind getting like suntan,
Right.
but the heat is not as intense there as it is here.
Yeah.
Now you got to drink a lot of water because you will get
True.
thirsty. But other than that, it's a really like gorgeous state.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's on my bucket list.
you should go.
So I
there's
want to go to
some
like
dope
Nevada.
places.
I want to go to like Vegas, let's say. Honestly, what I want to do is go to LA, then rent a car and drive to Vegas. But then, because it's like
like
4
3
hours,
hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then like go to Arizona, things like that, and then head back. and just experience it.
Yeah, we
Like camp out or something.
oh, you'll love it because we rented a car. It was supposed to be like a little 4-cylinder, but they made a mistake, so we had a Challenger.
Oh,
Ball that car. Those open desert roads.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's like a 2-hour drive to the Grand Canyon from Sedona.
oh, you were flying.
Oh man, I was doing like 95
Was it a
miles an
V8 or a
hour.
V6?
I think it was a V8.
Nice.
So you had the Hemi.
I was doing like 95 miles. I didn't feel it.
Right.
Everybody's in the car asleep like. I'm sitting there I prep myself
Zooming.
for race mode, and I'm just like,
He's like, yeah.
I'm just focused.
God,
Need for speed. You saw the Challenger's not outside anymore, right? I don't have the Challenger anymore.
Yeah, where is it at? I was looking for it. You
I sold
traded
it. Yeah,
Sold it?
I sold it to a guy in Chicago, and I got a Dodge Ram with
Nice.
the Hemi engine though.
Oh, it's fast. That's fast.
It's got that muscle power.
Nice.
So tell us more about the class. You talked about it a little bit, but I'm curious to know, like, what does she teach? Like, what has she taught you thus far about crystals themselves?
Let's see. We'll start with sound. I'm sure most of your audience is familiar with how to clean crystals.
No.
Yeah, okay.
you can
Imagine,
start from zero.
exactly. Imagine they're infants.
Okay, so
You
we'll
know?
start with infants. So I'm sure they go on the internet and listen to other YouTube people. Not to discredit them. They know what they're talking about, but, say you put them outside in the moonlight, or
Right.
you put them in water, or you bury them in the earth. And what I love about her, you gotta be practical. Like, some people, they work a 9-to-5 job. They may have kids.
Right.
They may have pets. I mean, you may have a busy schedule. You don't have time to, I put my crystals in the moonlight.
Right.
And your house or your apartment may be positioned where you don't actually, the moon is not facing you. So what do? So she's like, just get a tuning fork, the one to tune instruments, whatever frequency, a little hammer, and just bang it. That's it. Here's them up.
Really, that easily?
That easy. It's very practical, and it works too. I'm now able to do crystal layouts. One for grounding, one for like attracting money.
I need that one.
And up with that.
I need that one.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because when they use a tuning fork, do you think it's more like a like the mirror effect? Because you know how a quartz crystal in the inside is basically just like multiple mirrors the way it is. So if it hits, it's reverberating through the whole thing.
What I could add to that is like say, take the citrine around my neck. It's basically frozen light. Yeah, that's what you discover. It's frozen light. I say if you go to a higher dimension or a different parallel world,
It's your passport.
basically, it may be liquid, but it's frozen light. Same with us. We're basically, matter is frozen light. We're just vibrating at a lower frequency. You go to other realms, people may vibrate at a higher frequency, and she breaks it down like that. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. And she has the science to back it up, where different scientists have discovered it. It's not just some woo stuff. You burn some sage and you walk
Right.
around in your tighty whities and just say, oh, bless me. No. There's books
There's
and
a
documents.
science
There's
to
a
it.
science
Right.
behind this. Also, based on the size of the crystal, size does matter.
If you don't have size 12 shoes,
Right. So based on the size of the crystal, it depends on the energy output. So say you have a small quartz, go put out so much output. So you got a quartz the size of those lampposts, which they have a gem and mineral show. I think it's in Tucson, where they sell. They called what are they called? Earth. I think it's Earth Records. I might be wrong, but they are like basically like something like this.
you go to Tellus Museum.
Yeah.
The Tellus Museum right up 75 North.
Oh yeah.
Have a huge collection of like different quartz and minerals. So like, they have a whole section dedicated to that. They have a huge one in the middle of the room, which is really cool.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, I think they're called Earth something. I wish your artist can probably look it up, but they're massive. Like you can put them in the house.
Yeah.
And they're like furniture. They wasn't discovered until like the late 70s and early 80s.
Oh, wow.
They always been there. Yeah,
That's interesting.
like recently.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Here's an interesting story. My wife bore witness to this. Like where we live at, we stay like in a a townhome, and we're on the second floor. So one night it was raining, and my neighbor's downstairs. She was screaming at the balcony, hold it, come. My wife's like, what was going on? And she's talking. I think I was doing something. I forgot what I was doing. And she's like, call me. She's like, come here. I was like, okay, what's going on? And she's like, look, like this is the balcony. I look to my right. Let's just say it's just raining right here.
Right.
Just raining right there. Nowhere else in the neighborhood. It's just raining right there. And so it freaked my neighbor out. My wife's like, what's going on? She's like, and then I was like, oh, that's where the crystals are. Our bedroom. And I know which crystal it was.
Right.
I have a certain crystal which I got from India called azaleite. It's basically, I studied on it. It's azaleite with dambarite mixed inside of it. But it's basically frozen light. It's a sun. Now, don't burn you like it's not. Well, suns are not hot. And
Right.
Science can prove it up. But it's a sun.
Wait, suns are not hot?
They're not hot. You can look that up too.
We're gonna have to dive into that in a second.
Yeah.
Finish your thought and
Yeah.
remember that one.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. So it's basically, and you can refer to this stone in the Book of Stones, written by Robert. I forgot his name, but he meditated with the crystal, and he got information from himself. So I did the same thing too. When I got this azaleite spear, like a little shaped like a baseball, I always want to be around water. Some reason I want to be around water. And then I found out once I started reading more about it, I was like, it's a sun. I was like, sun needs water. Like, here's a funny thing. Water always goes back to its original source.
Right. Yeah.
Where's the source at?
Source of water?
Ocean.
Where does the water go? Water always go back to its original
The clouds.
source.
No. Us?
I just said it.
The sun.
The sun?
Sun. Water comes from the sun.
Oh, okay. Now you're about to blow my mind.
Yeah.
Hit that bomb because you gotta explain that shit.
Yeah.
So first talk about the sun not being hot, and then explain
Yeah.
the whole thing about water being the originator from it.
So, with the sun not being hot, like when we experience the summertime, it's the energy, it's basically the atmosphere heats up the sunlight. It's not the sun itself. Because if that was the case,
It's the light itself,
it's the light, the
So-
atmosphere.
The atmosphere is
like
what
a
makes the
greenhouse,
heat.
like a greenhouse effect.
Yeah, the greenhouse.
So, do you believe in the firmament?
Oh, the firmament is real.
Yes. Let's dive into this shit.
Okay, so
That's
like,
how organic we are right now.
So people can read the holy books, the
Yep.
Bible,
The Quran,
the Quran. I don't know if the
the
Torah.
Hebrew. Yeah, it does.
I don't know if the Torah talks about it, but for your audience,
India does.
India, yeah,
Egypt.
Egypt, definitely Egypt. For your audience, the firmament was basically like a dome placed over the planet that would regulate our hydro system. So versus the rain would fall from the sky, it would come from the ground, like the dew. Like we have the morning
Right.
dew. That's a remnant from the old hydration system on the planet. On one of our previous podcasts, I talked about the water took place. So it shattered it basically shattered the firmament. Now it's being built. On 2 occasions,
But the firmament's being built.
it's being rebuilt. The planet's rebuilding the firmament itself.
It does it. It does it itself.
Yes.
Somebody doesn't build it.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
doing it. 2 occasions when I was riding MARTA one day, I looked up in the sky. It's probably like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's like this gold sheen just in the middle of the sky. And I was like, and it's a rainbow just right there. There's no cloud. It didn't rain. I was like, well, that's a firmament. A few months back, my wife and I was at Kroger's on the outside in Decatur, and I looked up in the sky. I was like, look, there's a firmament. She's like, oh, shit. She took her phone out. She was like, oh, shit, that's the firmament. Look at that motherfucker right there. Snap. And she saw it. She was like, she did like that. She tilted her head. I was like, yeah, that's like a yellowish sheen. One of the minerals, one of the crystals, tektite. It's like there's different types of tektite. There's dark tektite. There's Libyan tektite, which you'll find a lot of in the Sahara Desert. a friend of mine who got me into crystals, he put me onto it. It looks like yellow. It's like this color.
Right.
It's very light. It was like frozen honey, basically. Fell from the sky, from the firmament. Yeah, so it's being built. It's being rebuilt right now. It's healing
Naturally,
the planet.
yeah.
The planet's healing itself.
You think that's similar to like when they talk about how there was a hole in the ozone layer?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's basically what they were talking about.
The
in a
firmament,
nutshell.
yeah.
And then when you think about, well, now that you mentioned that, because you were saying how it was a
That
gold
makes
sheen.
sense.
When you were saying it was a gold sheen, because when you hear the stories about the Anunnaki and they talk about taking gold back to their planet,
Yeah.
it's almost like they were using that gold to, I mean, theoretically, I guess, to rebuild whatever they had. Because they had to go around their planet.
Yeah, I mean, we use gold for vanity purposes. But what was one movie? It was with Daniel Craig and Harrison Ford, Space Cowboys.
Space Cowboys.
I mean, the title was corny, but I watched it anyway because I just wanted something to watch. And if you remember, the aliens were heating up the gold, and it didn't melt down; it melted up.
Yep. It's on HBO Max, I believe.
Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. I can't believe I do believe they put that in there. But we don't have no technology that I know of that can do that. But movie industry,
They know a lot more shit than they pull off.
Right.
yeah, they give us basically like the little crumbs
Right.
of what's really going on.
Sprinkle some crack on it.
Yeah,
The
but
sci-fi.
the firmament is very real because they regulate the hydration system on the planet. Like we still had clouds, but it wasn't like no crazy hurricanes and tornadoes and all that stuff. Basically, speaking of sun, what is it? Solar flares actually cause earthquakes. Yeah,
So the flares you see that come off the sun,
go into the earth and the earth shakes, gets that energy. It's like this is what I've been studying for the past few months along with crystals.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The only thing I have with the whole firmament thing is, so if there is a firmament or whatever, then that means that the Earth is flat.
not necessarily.
No, it's not flat.
No.
That was created by the FBI.
Exactly, because it-
No,
could
but
be-
I'm
'cause
thinking
that's where the
a dome, right? And then I'm thinking, obviously, kind of like one of those like shit that you fucking shake up. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah, like a snow globe.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
everything is flat and you got a dome over it.
But you could still have a firmament around a round object.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of where
I
because
guess-
my
I
thing
guess
was
you can.
like, I was curious about, I'll admit, like I was curious about the flat earth idea when people came out.
It's an
but
interesting
I've
idea.
always believed in the hollow earth theory. Always had.
Of course.
They talked about it in Godzilla.
Yeah.
Big, like in the King Kong one, Godzilla, and the next one that's gonna come over, because the big one that just happened, like how it has like Ghidorah and so that.
Yeah.
They talked about how that's how Godzilla moved around. He moved through the hollow earth to
the
get to
tunnels.
places quicker, and they found it. Like they found like this ancient ruins.
They found Godzilla.
Yeah, in Godzilla, literally. But I always believed like in the hollow earth theory. But I'm like, you can't have a hollow earth if the earth is flat, right?
True.
But so if you had a dome, that's
Depends
why
on
like,
how thick it is.
well, I always look at it more like a donut, right? Because the North Pole and South Pole like would have these holes that emanate magnetic fields, and that's what almost makes that firmament, because it contracts around.
I don't see it being a donut.
Well, not like if it's a massive hole.
Nah,
but
but
there
I-
are
I'm just
I'm
entrances.
just trying to like picture it, like mentally picture.
Well,
this.
you
I'm
think
like,
about it.
Well, the firmament, it would have to be like a dome around the whole sphere type deal. I guess that would.
A lot of it still bothers me. Like there's a lot of things that you hear with flat earthers.
Then where the fuck they get the pictures from? NASA.
But that's the thing, though. Like when you look at every single photo that NASA would put out, it's always in a fisheye lens. That always used to bother me. I'm like, why not? I was like, if there's so many people that question you as NASA, why not turn the camera around? Why not purposely show like what's there? Why is it that when you look at a rocket go up, you never
Curves.
see it? Yeah, you never see it go straight
Yeah,
up.
it
The
curves.
bitch curves because then your eyes don't see it anymore.
That's true.
Why is the space shuttle shaped like a ship, like a spacecraft? You don't need that in space.
No.
You know, and like
What
in
do you
this.
mean?
So the shuttle, this actual space shuttle, has wings and all this stuff.
Okay,
but it's
okay,
more
okay,
to
okay.
glide back into space. You don't necessarily need that up in space if that's where it is.
Oh,
that make sense?
shit. Yeah, that's
Because
true.
It's no oxygen.
When it goes this way, it curves
Right.
until you can't visually see it anymore.
Right.
So when they let go of the rockets, that bitch is really, in my opinion, I always feel that it's just gliding someplace else, and you don't know it's there anymore. Because that's the thing that's like what flat earth talk about with perspective, right? They're like,
Right.
well, the it's curved. That's why you don't see the boat anymore because of the horizon. But I was like, no, if you had a telescope and you zoomed in, you could still see the ship, right? Because your eyes can only see so far, and then it disappears, but it's still really there. You just have to zoom in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, there's tons of videos of scientists, or not scientists, like amateurs, would throw rockets up in the air with GoPros on them, and you would see it fly. One of the best ones I saw was how it had the GoPro and it was going, and all of a sudden it went thump.
Oh, I think I saw that one.
It just went. It literally just went thump.
Yeah.
It was spinning like this. It was spinning hard. I'm telling you, you can look it up on your phone. It was spinning hard as fuck. I mean, it was flying in the air, straight up, and the GoPro was pointing down, right? And all of a sudden it went like this, went thump, and it stopped. Dead. It's dead.
What the
stopped,
fuck?
and then it just floated right back to the ground. And the
Guess that's
GoPro
why they
picked
say
up the
what
whole
goes
thing.
up must come down, right?
Literally. But then you hear, if you look online, there's like
boom.
Hillary Clinton was on like Jimmy Fallon or some nonsense, and she talked about that shit. She talked about rockets, and she was like, well, we're trying to break through. We're trying to break through to see what's on the other side,
Well, then they also had those, like back in the day, I saw an article where it was like they try to shoot rockets or whatever.
Nuclear.
And then you could see like the actual like explosions at the top and kind of like just like shock waves.
They're trying to break
but
it.
it never was like a straight shot through. It'd be like something that, it hit something. And I was like, get the fuck
They
out
talk
of
about the
here.
Van Allen belt. Like, people don't talk about that shit. Like, like, you know how many scientists, like even like astronauts, scientists, people that are in that realm, right? Whatever the fuck they're called, right? They always talk about the Van Allen belt. The Van Allen belt is literally right after our atmosphere, right? And it's extremely like radioactive or something like that. Like, it's really bad. And they talk about how like, oh, we haven't broken past that. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't.
Because you're telling us one thing, but then you say that we have a international space station that's obviously above that.
Yeah.
That have satellites.
The
and
moon
shit.
is above that.
Right.
So how are you saying one thing like low key, but then you're showing us all of this stuff? You know what I mean? Because there's tons. Like, there was videos. You like I said, most of the videos you see, it's a fisheye lens. But then sometimes you'll see them inside, and it's not fisheye, and the shit it looks like this. So like it's very questionable. You don't know. You don't know what to believe.
Let's get an astronaut in here.
Right?
I'll talk to one.
Now here's my thing. Not necessarily. I can give two shits whether it's flat or round.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I truly believe they're hiding something. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And there's enough evidence to show that.
My thing with that is, I 100% think they're hiding something, because that moon landing shit, that doesn't sit right with me.
Well,
because
supposedly they did.
They landed, right? Supposedly. 2, you watch the video and you're like, get the fuck out of here. And then 3, we've never been able to go back.
Yeah.
Right.
We stopped-
since then, supposedly.
Well, there's reasons why.
Well,
So,
there's probably
like David
fucking aliens
Wilcock,
there.
no, actually, it's true.
Yeah.
Because like
Probably
David
like, "Don't
Wilcock
come
talked
back
about
here."
it. They said no, and that's what happened. Like what originally the unofficial story, I guess, was that when they all went, like Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, like the main guys, when they landed, there was already other races hanging out on the moon, walking around.
Yeah.
Like we were the visitors, right? And there was more shock, so they had footage of it, but they burned all their evidence, and that's fact. Like that actually happened. That they destroyed all the equipment, right, and all the video footage, allegedly, right? But that, like, you can actually look that up. You can Google that they actually did that. But then, like, I always wondered. I'm like, think about it. if you were the first person to land on the moon, right? You would be the most ecstatic person in the world.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You would be like smiling left and right. But
I'd be bragging about that shit.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Yeah, I was on the moon.
You know how much pussy you would get from some shit like that, right?
Girl,
But then when you, right? Like, hey, girl. It was like,
You wanna see the boots?
Right? Got him at the house. Got him at the crib. But when you watch all the interviews of all of the guys, no expressions, like they don't want to be there, and you can tell like they're holding a secret that they cannot let anyone know about.
Right.
And that's the and that's why they say that's the reason why we've never been back, because either the dark side of the moon or just the moon in general.
Right.
People have said, I mean, there's people when you look online, like amateurs. I have a telescope. I can zoom in and see straight up craters, right? With the telescope I have, where there's amateurs who they're like, yeah, like I've looked through my telescope and recorded flashes of lights, like things moving that shouldn't be moving, like on the moon.
That's crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like 0 point technology. You know, like we know it exists. Amateur scientists have made it, but then we're still on gasoline and solar power. Why?
Right. And to piggyback on what you said
Yeah.
with the astronauts, like David Wilcox, he talks about in his books, and you can look at his channel Gaia, where he has experts on
Guy's
there.
the shit.
A lot of those astronauts,
Can't help
they like you said, they saw certain things that they couldn't disclose at the time. It's on
Right.
the contract.
Right.
So okay, you can talk you want to, but you want to pay your light bill the next month. Like, okay, I'll shut up then.
Yep.
But
Or you'll die.
pretty
you know,
much.
whatever.
Right.
there was other. I think Russia been to the moon, Germany,
China just went back.
See?
They just went back, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Germany has allegedly flew to Mars during after World War II. That's one of the things. Okay, we're fighting you guys. Pew, 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 kill the Americans, kill everybody else. Let's go to Mars. Let's go to the moon. All
Yeah.
the technology.
And or the hollow earth.
Yeah, this is working with technology. They it's like mile-high structures on the moon. Mercury. Billy Carson, he talks about a lot of that on his website. They saw all types of stuff up there, all types of stuff, and yeah, you come back to Earth and you just like you staring at the cameras, people
Right.
flashing light. Oh,
And
Like
you
they're
can't-
not
you
gonna
can't say shit.
understand
Right.
anything.
Yep.
Like, I think that's the biggest thing. Is like the people's mentality on something like that is like beyond
Like
belief.
ignorance,
You know what I
kinda?
mean? In a way, I think it is. But then you got the religion aspect of
course.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big
That's profit.
factor. That's a huge
That's profit.
factor. Oh yeah, for sure. But it's I think it's a big factor in the sense of I'm not gonna believe that because you know that's not true.
Right.
Because you know based on my religion, that's crap. You know what I mean? And I mean there's some people that are you know gonna hold on to that till the day they die. So there's no changing that. And frankly, the majority of the population is that way. You know, I mean now slowly but surely we're getting to a more like spiritual level, more you know
Heightened awareness,
open-minded, more like you know because we see all these changes happening, all these things going on that you know you're like okay, well there's got to be something more to this or that, and you know and you do your research and 9 out of 10 times there is more to something that you think there is too. So I think you know now if something like that would have happened and they were like, yo, we found this shit, people would be like, get the fuck out of here. Like, let's go fucking check that shit out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of like, you know, a couple years back when it was like everything was so conservative, so like, you know, gun ho and stuff. And I think that's something that should happen, like, you know, hopefully in our lifetime.
Oh, I guarantee in our lifetime disclosure is going to happen.
Or everything's happening a lifetime so fast.
Fuck yeah.
That's true.
There's a lot of things happening. Like we had, you know, Red Pill?
Yeah.
So we had him, was it the last one? 2 podcasts ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
dope.
blue pill.
Yeah.
Dope.
Blue Pill. Paul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blue Pill. Eric is, his brother
Okay.
is Red.
Dope.
But we had Blue Pill on, and he was explaining like December 21st to us.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
The world supposedly ends.
Yeah,
Well, it doesn't
I don't. It's
end,
the
but yeah.
apocalypse type deal. But he was explaining how the paradigm shifts where we're like all the planets were aligning, and they're supposed to align by that time, but like shit is supposed to pop off that you can actually see in the sky, like different dimensions would open, and he's like, that's why, when you look at 2020, you see, is that okay?
Oh, he's good.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Where you see, you're almost living different timelines. Like shit that would happen like in the 1960s is happening now, or shit that's happening, in a certain, generation is happening now. Like you're having all these different generational events happen in one shot.
Like different portals.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up. It's called a time slip. So give an example, like you can Google the images. Someone found a sledgehammer embedded in rock that was millions of years old.
I saw that.
And they're like, how's that? Well, they must have had advanced civilization back then. No. Some miner probably had that sledgehammer and it just went through a time slip.
Oh,
and
shit.
it embedded in the rock. And that's what's been happening now. So like, to piggyback on what you said, time is going to start merging together to where all of a sudden you may be walking, you may see someone from like 1865 or like such and such.
That would be
BC.
some shit, bro.
Now, it's not going to be forever. It's going to be certain people
Right.
who are attuned to see that.
True.
So you may see that spirit. Like, oh, shit. Oh, wait, they don't see that.
That's where the health and meditation and eating right.
right.
You got to prepare your body
Right.
to experience
Can't
that.
eat meat.
Yeah, and just like it's like with Sedona, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody because all the people we met there were fucking nice. I mean, the dogs were like Maverick, just friendly. I couldn't believe it. I was like, everybody's just so friendly.
It's like, wait, that pit bull doesn't like black people? Like,
Right? Yeah. I love pit bulls. I was telling Junior that the birds were following us in the Grand Canyon. Like they would fly on the trees. We walked to another tree, and another bird would fly up there. We'd be walking by, you see just like hawks, just
the Heyrus.
Yeah, just following us. I was like,
That's
oh,
crazy.
Shit. And we found certain pyramids in the Grand Canyon. That's another topic.
Really?
Yeah,
You hit it, man.
yeah.
The
It's,
Grand Canyon is a motherfucker.
Yeah,
The
Grand
Grand
Canyon
Canyon
It's deep.
Yeah.
literally.
They got some hidden shit in there that because it's a like anytime something becomes like federal, not Federal Reserve, but like a federal
National,
land,
yeah.
like our national park, you can't touch it.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
can't go into certain areas, but there's specific areas inside the Grand Canyon that's documented. Like I forgot, I forgot what year, but like long ass time ago, right? Where they found caves.
Oh yeah.
In the Grand Canyon, but in the caves had like stuff from like Vikings, Egypt, like all these different places, all inside there.
What
You
the
know,
fuck?
yeah, it's some shit, man.
Like and
Were they
right,
pyramids or mounds?
These are pyramids because when you look at them, and there's like a certain part when you get to like close to the end of the Grand Canyon, and I'll show you the picture. They have like this little it looks like you have like a little scope where you can just zoom in and see stuff. It has certain places labeled like Temple of Isis, Temple of Shiva,
Really?
Temple of there was another one. And then when you look at them now, to go back, before we saw any of this stuff, we meditated there. I had a good meditation there. I was just like,
He was high.
yeah, I had a couple crystals on me. I was gone, literally. My meditation, I got it. They said the Grand Canyon is like the foulest of the earth.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, it's like the foulest. So it
I can
kind
see
of,
that.
but it kind of sucks you in, and because a lot of people they fall into the Grand Canyon, commit
Right,
suicide.
yeah.
But now I was thinking,
And that on purpose, basically.
yeah, some on purpose because I mean, you go over the edge, there's nothing to
It's
save
over.
you.
It's over.
You're done.
Yeah.
But
I'm not trying to do one of them donkey rides. That's
Right.
Sure, fuck that.
But they call the area the vortex, and I see why, because you can feel the energy pull you into
Like
the Grand.
sucking you in.
Suck you in. And when I got my meditation, you have to be grounded within yourself to experience something like that. But you look at, say, the Temple of Isis. When you meditate, you can see the aftermath. There used to be a pyramid. We even saw a sphinx in the distance.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of like fading in and out.
Almost
And-
like a mirage, but
Yeah.
yeah.
My wife saw it. My friend, King Trevon, and his wife. Four of us, we all saw it. No one else. Meanwhile, we don't smoke weed. We don't do no drugs. We just eat healthy, exercise, and work regular jobs and meditate. And some of us work with crystals. Saw that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we saw that. And it was just like, I was like, oh wow. My wife, she recorded like a cave, like right off of the entrance that was probably like this size. And you have to fly into there. And there's so much stuff in the Grand Canyon, like you said, federal government got it on lockdown because they found certain artifacts.
Yeah, you can't fly. Like a lot of times they do flyovers. There's specific areas you're not allowed to fly over.
Yeah, they have no drone flying.
Oh,
They
really?
have signs
Shit.
there, no drone flying.
You can't go low, like deep in it, because if you go deep in it and you're level, like if the Grand Canyon's up here and you're like down here flying, you'll see some shit.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to explain to him before, like, you know, the idea of like with more science. And they talked about how a lot of like African countries were actually the same names as you see them here, you know, in the United States, like Ethiopia.
Oh, yeah.
And when they, in ancient times, when they talk about a lot of these African places, they're not talking about Africa. They're actually talking about America.
There they are.
You know, because when you drive from here to Chicago, like that's what I was telling you. When I drove to Chicago with Liz, and I was shocked because you would see like Indiana has a place called Lebanon.
Lebanon.
Right?
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
The town is called Lebanon. Like the city is called Lebanon. You drive right through it. Kentucky has the Mammoth Caves, which are like some of the largest caves that go deep as fuck. And we were going to stop and check it out, but when you look at a lot of research, we didn't have time, but when you look at a lot of research, they were saying how like a lot of these caves, similar to like that one, there's one like in the Philippines, there's a couple of them all over the world, that those are the ones that like take you down into like hollow earth if you keep going. It's like miles and miles and miles long.
Wow.
You know, but there's all these different places. Chicago has a couple of places that are named after like African, like Morocco, things like that. And that's really what they're talking about. When you talk about like the Nile, they're really talking about like the Mississippi.
Mississippi River, yeah.
Because it's similar. Very similar, like the Delta and how it connects and so that.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Yep.
A friend of mine was telling me that Alabama used to be called Alibaba. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's experienced all those quartz. I mean, you get some nice ass quartz crystals from Alabama.
Really?
You can mine them yourself. No, Arkansas. I'm sorry, Arkansas. You get the quartz crystals, but Alabama was originally known as Alibaba. But yeah, there's a lot of hidden stuff on this continent they don't tell us about because we're so focused on the East. And yes, a lot of stuff happened place in the East, but no one talks about here. Like I used to have an old map where it talked about certain empires were here. Yeah. And yeah, old map.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I could see it.
That's where you talk about like the island of Mu, right?
Mu,
Or and then you have like Atlantis. You know, you have these pockets, these other continents that used to exist. And the thing, like people, they hear that and they're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm
Taboo.
like, yeah. But then when you do research, right, you see that a lot of the water level used to be lower, right? Volcanoes drop like will drop continents out the water and they're not there.
Yeah.
You can go to Bahamas, you can go to Cuba. Cuba has miles long of road that's underwater that's unexplained, and they're
Wow.
like and like almost like temples, right? And they were going to do this one guy was going to do a study on it, and Cuba shut him down. He couldn't do it, but there's pictures of it, you know. Or like in Japan, Japan has underwater, right,
I've
pyramids.
seen that.
Pyramids.
Yeah,
And that's
Yeah,
real.
I've seen
Yeah.
that. Yep.
But it's underwater.
It's
So
underwater.
what's to say that other things are like that? Puerto Rico, because when you look at a map, right? Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, all these places look like they were connected at one point. You know, you have, how is it that Hawaii, and then you have the Polynesian Islands, almost have the exact same culture, but they're hundreds of miles away from each other, right, in the middle of the ocean. But when you look at it, it almost makes this curve, right? And they talk about like Lemuria, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, there used to be, what they state is that there used to be a continent between Africa and South America, right? So if there was a continent that's big enough that you can either see or just go to, if you take a ship, hang out there, walk it, Next thing you know, you're in Latin America, right? Hence the Olmec statues. And if you think of the Olmec statues, which are those massive heads,
Yes.
those are right on the curve of where like Mexico and South America intersect, which is almost like a straight line from like if you walked, if there was an island there. But then there's a lot of books and so that where you see there was Africans, already here before anyone else came. Hence the reason why you get a lot of like Native Americans
That's
that look
funny
a specific way.
because I was listening to this podcast with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He has a podcast and he had Waka Flocka in there.
Nice.
And then he was like, he's like, I don't consider myself African American. He's like, I call myself Native. He's like, there was already like black people in the
facts.
United States.
He's right.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
He's like, so he's like, I don't call myself African American. He's like, I'm Native. And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, that makes sense. I mean, the history will always tell you his story, you know what I mean? And it's like, who like, obviously they're not going to be like, oh yeah, there was people already here, because, winners make history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Conquerors make history.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
They change history.
Exactly. So it's like, you only see the perspective of the people writing the history. You know what I mean? You never see the perspective of the people that were actually already here.
The real story.
You know what I mean? Like the Native Americans and all that stuff. Like you never hear from them like that. Like, yo, what's your story? Like, what's your origination? Like, what your ancestors tell you? You know what I mean? It's like you never see or hear that side of the story. So it's like, it's always like well, what if? What if shit was different? Like, what if history was written in a different, more accurate way?
Somebody needs to make a history book like that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like, oh, here's a
That would
nonfiction.
take a long fucking time because you'd have to trace a lot.
I would make it similar to like how history. If you like a social studies book now, will start like in the 1900s or the 1800s until the present time. So I would do the exact same thing. Like, well, look, in the 1800s this is happening, and now it's like here.
A purist to write something like that. Somebody who's actually wants to know the actual like beginning of everything.
There was a guy. I forgot where it was. It might have been like on the Breakfast Club or something like that. He came on. He proved an interesting point, right? And he stated how he's like, think about it. He's like, obviously there was originally black people or Africans, whatever you want to call it, living here prior to. Because then he broke it down. He's like, well, think about it. He's like, if that is your source of income, right? Their bodies, right? To be slaves, something like that, right? Why would you put a whole bunch of them on a ship? And when you look at it, like they stack them. Like they always talked about how they stacked them on top of each other. They could not move.
Yeah.
They're next to each other, stacked like Legos, right? Chained up under a barrel, under like the bowels of the ship, right? And it takes a month or more to get from Europe, let's say, to the New World. And the majority of your product dies, right? You're not going to make a profit. But if you're taking the people that are already on the land, right? It makes more sense, and I thought about that, and I was like, that's true. I feel like that obviously, yes, they probably ship people because there's documents and that, but I would say that a lot of the resources they're getting from the land they already live in, because there's been documents of Africans living with Native Americans, right? There's images of cowboys, like there's one like
It's not even African, just black in general. Just like melanated people. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, because when you put the term African, in front of it, it's like from Africa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there was actually people here who were melanated that were from here. Like, this is where they originated from. But it's just crazy, like, just to think, like, all that. It's how, a lot of stuff, it gets manipulated into, like what mainly, like, people in power want you to know or think or, manipulate the way that your train of thought. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, this is how it's been. This is how it's always been, like forever. But it's in reality, it's not. Like once you start doing your research, once you start reading books, you know, on how shit comes to be and everything, it's like you start connecting the dots, and a lot of stuff starts making more sense, and you don't necessarily believe everything coming out of you know, people's mouths. You know, you can kind of make your own conclusions off, like, okay, well, I'll take this piece, but the rest of it is bullshit. You know what I mean?
I don't think they dig deep enough.
No, I honestly don't.
But also talk about father, like we talk about the Cowboys. Everybody know the original Cowboys was us. The story of the Lone Ranger was based on a real guy. I forgot his name. I see his picture.
Denzel Washington played him in The Magnificent Seven.
Wow. See, I gotta watch that movie.
Yeah.
He was a badass real life.
He wore all black.
Yeah. Like if this brother caught you, you might as well just kill yourself. He was that type of dude. My cousin told me we used to have a picture of our great grandfather, Native American, but he had like long silver hair. Now, you and your audience can pin interests like blacks in this country back in the days. We were the Native Americans. You would see sisters with long, thick, wavy hair, thick dresses and gowns. The teepees are made after the pyramids in Egypt. The teepees, like a pyramid inside.
Right.
Yeah, we were the Native Americans, but they switched it. They switched it around. We was always here before. Then your modern day Native American, they came after we were here. We was always here. Like ancient city. I think a couple of years ago I read this article where somewhere in Louisiana, where they found the remains of this ancient city that's over 100,000 years old. So explain that. There's a civilization here in Louisiana
that predates history.
Yeah, 100,000 years old.
There's a couple of colleges that have that actually. I think Georgia has like a section. I think Alabama has like this section that's like something ancient. I remember reading about that too.
Yeah, there was always civilizations here. Yeah, we were always here.
Right.
First, like when I went to Mexico and saw chicken pizza, I'm at Chichen Itza. We had to go in the jungle to see that pyramid.
Right.
I'm just looking like, wow. Now, what I've learned, what I've did my own studies with that is a lot of the Aztec and the Mayans that were living in those ancient cities, like Machu Picchu, Chichen Itza, a lot of these Mayan temples. If you look at some of the blocks, they would admit that no, we came after this was here. So then the question is, who built that stuff then? Yeah, they admitted that this was here before we came, and we just built on top of it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
or around
crazy.
it.
Yeah, around
What was that new one we just saw where that guy was a tour guide of Chichen Itza? You talk about clapping.
Oh yeah.
That shit was fire, man.
He's like, it has like the pyramids, the way they're shaped. It's like they're built the way they're built. Like the sound, it's supposed to like it reverberates. So he was like outside of the pyramid, down at the bottom. He's like, if you clap, boom, and he claps, and you can hear the sound come back. Like like you can hear it from the pyramid.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy as fuck. And I was like, and it sounded, it was like a weird sound, a weird noise. But it was like, he's like, if you were to do this in like, the pyramids of Giza,
It wouldn't do it.
It wouldn't go because the way they're set up, he's like, the sound goes away. He's like, so you wouldn't hear it. But here, the way this one is set up, he's like, you clap and the sound like bounces back to you. Like
so
it was crazy.
So
as
here's
shit.
the thing behind
wild.
that. I was explaining when he showed me and I explained him. I was like, well, think about if you have your whole tribe outside dancing or chanting.
Yeah.
It's gonna go back in. So that's the concept you have to think about, the as above, so below, right? Because in Egypt, if you're doing the exact same thing, that sound is going up. But if you are in Mexico, in that area, which is on the same 33-degree latitude line, right? So it's on the same, what's that called?
Oh, you're talking about that?
Shit, I'm having a brain fart.
About the equator?
No.
they call it,
The
Grid line.
the
line.
ley lines.
Ley lines. Oh, ley lines.
Right.
Yeah, ley
It's
lines.
on the exact same ley line, right? So if you had a whole bunch of people chanting in Mexico, now that's going down. So you got one going as above, so below.
Wow.
You know, and that's how that type of thing works. But on top of what he was saying too, think about like when he was saying how we were already here. Think about the book Sapien we read, right? And then also think about, like, let's say John Leguizamo's the Latin history that was on Netflix, right? And people, you know, the powers to be tell you, oh, this was here, but no one is ever willing to do that extra
Nobody
mile to
questions
figure it
it.
out because it's factual that a lot of Native Americans, they weren't just all of a sudden in North America. A lot of them migrated from Central America and South America, right? They came up. So everyone at a specific time. There's a really good book that we've been reading called *Sapiens*, right?
*Sapiens*.
And
Okay.
it's really, really good. And it kind of really, there's some things I agree with, but a lot of it, you know, is very similar. You can, from like
get,
what
like,
we
the
know, like we
vague
can change
picture,
it, you know, and
yeah.
understand the real. But it's explaining how if you have everyone that was nomads at one time, right? They didn't stay still. They might have stayed still, and then other people would go. Hence the reason. If you had an island, you nomaded, traveled through, migrated, see that there was a whole bunch of other people, came together, you migrated some more. So if you start at one section, you're going to travel your way up into what is now North America or into Canada, you know, where it's colder. So now you're going to grow the beards. You're going to do this, you know. If you're going from Africa and you go up into Asia, now you're going towards Russia. You can cut across to Alaska. You know, they're right there, you know. Sarah Palin used to talk about how she could see Russia from her fucking back, you know, her backyard. But those are those mentalities that people don't kind of take that step back to kind of think about that. Like, think about how ancient people did shit.
Yeah.
You know, so Native Americans just didn't randomly show up. Like, they would agree. They would tell you, yeah, you know, our ancestors come from the stars, the star children. They always talk about, like, the stars.
Yeah.
Right. Aztecs, Mayans, Incas, you say the exact same things, that our gods come from the stars.
Right, the solar
Right?
system.
Yeah, so like you have that migration of the people.
Right.
And that's how you get that different thing. And that's where you see a lot of these things popping
I feel like
up.
a lot of that's been lost in translation, like with, you know, the whole education system and everything that, you know, people just have on a daily basis if they don't think about this shit. You know what I mean? It's
they
like
don't.
shit that is like irrelevant to their daily
Mm-hmm.
lives. So but when you start paying more attention to stuff like that, eventually you start seeing a lot more shit clearly. You know what I mean? It's like, like I don't really give a fuck about that anymore. Like, it's not that serious or it's not that important. You know, it's stuff that you would normally like emphasize or put so much importance to. Like, when you start realizing, when you start like actually doing research on a lot of things that, you know, going on for centuries and stuff like that, you're like, holy shit, like this really is like kind of irrelevant. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it changes your whole perspective on life in general. And it's like I just think a lot of people now need that, you know, to be doing that, to be getting in tune with, you know, nature, with crystals, with, you know, meditation, dieting, like stuff like that, to kind of, because I feel like right now everybody's in a mental, like in a very stressed mental state because of everything that's going on.
If they make
you know what I mean?
if they make themselves that way.
Well,
That's
no,
the
it's
thing.
I mean, it's human nature. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna pay attention, especially if you're glued to your fucking phone 24/7, scrolling through news and bad shit all day. Like, you're gonna get stressed. It's just, you know, and that's the majority of the population right now. That's how it is. You know what I mean? And I feel like we need to kind of disconnect for a bit, fucking get back in tune with yourself, and, you know, like you said, like meditation, do some crystal work, like, you know, like I was gonna ask you, like, as far as crystals, like what kind of benefits is that? Like, is that like what kind of I guess it has some healing powers to crystals. There's different things that crystals can do. What are some of those things?
Now, like studying my class, and I know this from experience. Like me, I'm sensitive towards energy, but you take another person, they won't feel shit. They're like, I don't feel nothing. it's pretty, but I don't feel shit. That's fine, but that's like doesn't mean that it's not working. It's like you can't feel the blood in your body flowing,
Right.
but it's still flowing.
It's still there. Yeah.
Like I have what's it, morganite and pink kunzite on me, heart energy. So, of course, the heart creates like a vortex around the body. So you get your heart right, it keeps everything here healthy. Or say you keep like smoky quartz in your pocket, protects you against like the radiation from the underground electrical lines underground. Or say you have blue kyanite, works with the throat chakra here, which is like an energy center for your throat to help you speak more. Or say you may have amethyst for your crown chakra. When people, and for say myself is sensitive, I can either feel something in my chest vibrate, heart chakra, my throat chakra, crown. It feels like, say, put yourself in a room with the crown chakra, and you feel like air coming out your head. And
Or
it's
electricity.
Yeah, like gently. That's what it feels like. Everybody's not going to feel that.
Right.
Everybody's not going to feel that. So I'm not going to tell your audience like, oh yeah, if you pick up like obsidian, it zaps away negative energy. They're like, really? Like, no, I'm not going to do that to
Right.
you. I'm not going to do that to you. But you will see the benefits. Or like with that azaleolite, it brought down the rain specifically where it was at. Like I always got to keep it. It likes water. It's a sun. It's a handheld sun in my hand that some beings from another galaxy, feminine, created it. And they brought it here. It's really just quartz. But it's located at specific points on a planet. And you can find some in North Carolina.
What's it called again?
Azaleolite.
Azaleolite.
Azaleolite. AZEUTLITE. I can't believe I spelled it. But
On the first take.
right. But that particular one I have, it likes water. It's a sun. And I wouldn't realize that unless I meditated with it and did my own research. I was like, oh my God, this is a handheld sun. That's why it craves water. Sun's water ties together.
Yeah.
You never actually touched on that. You
Yeah.
were telling us like an hour ago about
Then
how
you
the
cut
sun.
him off.
Yeah, I cut him off probably.
Yeah,
Like, you were talking about the sun and water and things like that.
Like I'm not a scientist, but I like studying science.
Yeah.
But the sun produces what's called cold fusion. And of course, I think China, Japan, they're working on that right now. They're doing their best. It's basically clean energy just constantly running itself. So say if you can create a sun, let's say you take a bowling ball, say, I want to have some clean energy where I can power up this whole neighborhood for say like 10,000 years. Let's create cold fusion. It burns clean just like the sun. It just keeps burning and it forms a spear, sacred geometry that nullifies the whole flat earth theory. Triangles, squares, and spears, the three shapes you'll find in our universe mostly that we can recognize. There's probably other shapes. We probably can't recognize it. We just can't see it. It's vibrating at high frequency. That's another topic. But it, God, I lost my train of thought.
Talking about water with the sun.
The energy,
water.
yeah.
Yeah, cold fusion. So
Yeah.
I think it's China, Japan, they're working on it hard right now to get away from nuclear energy to cold fusion. So that's basically you creating a sun and you need water, vast amounts of water. Thus, a lot of our planets in our solar system, we came from sun or what's called soul. It was a planet at one time. Also, it was a person, a being. Don't know if it's human or whatever, but it was a being. Doing my study in certain books, a lot of the trees, they grow up to be planets. Yeah, but you gotta do research to find that out.
Right.
But
Explain that shit.
Yeah.
I'm still learning that myself.
Damn,
But-
that's an old ass tree.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but trees, and I was studying, reading books. They were saying if you knew what trees were, you wouldn't be so hasty. You wouldn't be so hasty to cut them down. It's basically cutting down a planet.
Yeah.
That's like a baby
The
planet.
nerves.
Yeah, the nerves is forming into a planet. Now, do we have the science to prove that? No.